Jalen Hurts just got paid big time.
Yeah, I
250
was glad to see
something.
that.
Yeah, 179 guaranteed, more than Daniel Jones. But
Yeah.
just your thoughts on the Eagles buying in on Jalen Hurts. I mean, certainly he took his team to the Super Bowl as an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Feels like he deserved it.
I'm glad, because I was a little nervous that they weren't going to be able to work things out. But I mean, he is that engine that runs that offense. Obviously, they put together all the pieces of the puzzle to help him out. But what did he do this year? He played really well, even in the Super Bowl, with the exception of that one fumble. I mean, he really put the team on his back, and he is a rising star in this league. And I told you, Jalen Hurts is an amazing talent. What he was able to do last year is unbelievable. But I truly think the ceiling for Justin Fields is above that of Jalen Hurts. I really do. I really think he's a better passer when you look at it. He's got to work on some of the things, on getting on the same page with the receivers.
Mm-hmm.
He's a better runner. I mean, his playmaking ability is unreal. But once Chicago can model their team after Philly, because I think that's the goal, right? Great offensive line, great defensive line. You really control with that. Get another weapon. We got DJ Moore. They got AJ Brown. So if you can model that team after the Eagles, I really think they're going to set Justin Fields up to succeed in on this team. So I'm really excited for the future. Happy for Jalen Hurts. Hopefully this will be Justin Fields in a year or two, getting the same kind of bag. Well, way more, because inflation and all that stuff.
It's going to keep going. So now Patrick Mahomes is the sixth highest paid quarterback in the NFL after he signed that mega deal where everyone said, whoa, now that's now not even in the top five. My follow-up to that really quick, Corey, is I just like it because it feels like it's mutually beneficial for the Philadelphia Eagles and for Jalen Hurts, right? And more specifically from Jalen Hurts. And from, the former player perspective, look, $179 million guaranteed is a ton of money, right? But he didn't go through a situation where he was going to hold out or keep pushing for more, as you mentioned, wait for the market to continue to inflate. Is that something that players really do consider, the situation maybe more than the bottom line? And how do you weigh that as a player, saying, man, if I take a couple million off the table, but if I stay in the situation that is right for me with the right coaching staff, the right system, that is better for my career than maybe the most amount of zeros on a check?
I think especially when it comes to a quarterback, because the likelihood of like career-ending injuries for quarterbacks is pretty slim. I know it's happened before. Joe Theismann had a really bad injury. Alex Smith. But usually with the quarterbacks, they have one of the longest careers, especially if you're a starter. If you're that guy, they're going to invest all this money. So if you take a little bit less, you're going to get it back again when you renegotiate that contract. So as long as it's not an insulting number. And I think that's the thing. I think guys are like, listen, I want to be the next paid. And sometimes, like with Baltimore, that was the biggest thing did Lamar Jackson and them work that out? I heard there was.
No, so that was my
yet.
final question, man. As we head into the NFL draft starting next Thursday, will Lamar have a new football team? And will Aaron Rodgers finally become a New York Jet? I mean, how do you think the machination of this works out, or do you think this is all going to have to be post-draft ironed out? Because the Baltimore Ravens could take Hendon Hooker in the first round, and then we really know what's going on. So my next question for you is, do we figure this out by next week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I think it's going to be post-draft. I think they're in a situation where it's at a standstill, right? Lamar feels he's worth this. They're kind of in between here. And my thing is like this, his talent is undeniable. He's won an MVP there. You basically drafted for this whole scheme of how he runs the offense. So you put all the talent around him, run this scheme that fits a running quarterback. And then now you don't want to pay him what he's worth. And people say, oh, he's injured in this. And I'm like, it wasn't any serious injuries. It was kind of nagging things. And sometimes players have nagging injuries. But my thing is like this. I feel like he's been a consistent performer for you. Pay him the money. It's not about this. Like, honestly, if Derek Carr could get paid and be the highest, I think Lamar Jackson can. And that's no disrespect to Derek Carr at all. But I just think, Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, is a lot better quarterback for what the Baltimore Ravens are doing than Derek Carr. So I think you got to pay him. I'm hoping they could work it out because he is explosive. He makes their team better. But at the same time, they're like, well, Tyler Huntley was running the offense pretty good. So, it's always tough when I guarantee you if he didn't get hurt the way he did, it was kind of in and out. I guarantee you they would have paid him hands down. But I think this year was a little bit negatively impacted him.
Well, yeah, and it's been a couple of years now where the story continues to repeat itself, where he gets a little injured, they have to scramble for a month and a half, and then they're either barely making the playoffs or they're just falling a little short. And Corey, to your point, do you think that's part of the reason why Lamar Jackson has opted to not have an agent? Can you wrap your head around that and provide maybe the casual fan a bit of a perspective of why an athlete would go that route? I mean, maybe if I can, I mean, my only speculation would be maybe he has a dissatisfaction that he hasn't gotten the endorsements outside of football, that the agent maybe isn't working hard enough for him to get allocate every dollar. But why would an athlete go this route? I just don't get it.
No, I think it's so. I've said this before. I think rookie contracts, you can negotiate that yourself, right? You hire a lawyer to look over your contract because everything is slotted, right? The 10th pick, it's slotted, right? So there's not much bargaining room at all. So that's easy. You don't need an agent for that first contract, especially if you're a first round, second, any draft pick. You don't need an agent for your first contract, but for your second, hands down, you need to, because it's all about the negotiating. Those guys get paid the big bucks for a reason. Drew Rosenhaus and company and all those big name agents. They get paid the big bucks for a reason, because they negotiate for you. They're that middle party. You don't look like the bad guy. And I think the same thing with Roquan Smith, right? Why he's not a Bear now is because he chose to represent himself. If he had an agent, Roquan Smith would still be on the team. And I think when you're negotiating with a GM, a head coach, the front office, and you're the main person interacting with them, stuff gets personal. People take it the wrong way. And then all of a sudden, instead of having your agent be that guy to talk back and forth, no, this is disrespectful, this is my client, you're still the good person over there. You're like, oh, that's Lamar, that's Roquan Smith. All he did was put his head down and play free. He played at Pro Bowl level. He had this many tackles. Lamar had this many. And then they're that third party right there. So I just don't agree with it when guys act as their own agents for their second or third contract. It just doesn't make any sense.